Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. We are back for another Fan Friday, and last week's question was, what team needs to win? And not necessarily, what team should win, like, I don't know, Pittsburgh or Chicago. What team needs to win? For example, Toronto, because they might have cap issues next year. For example, Washington, because, well, Ovi's getting old, Backstrom's getting old, and they just need to win. So there's teams like that. You guys have wrote in and left your comments down below, but before we get into that, Lightning fans, yes, finally, I have a Tampa Bay Lightning hat. You're welcome. Lids has hooked me up with this hat, so if you guys are looking for a hat like this, head on over to lids.ca or .com, and they have this hat in white, gray, and blue, so check it out. Okay, so let's get into this. There's, I think, 12 comments that I have here. And as you know, for this series, you guys, the fan at home writes in, the hockey fan at home writes in and leaves your comments and opinions, and I read them here on camera. So the question for next week will be at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around for that too, because I want to hear your comments on the upcoming question. But let's get into this week's answers. Hyola says, I feel like Washington needs to win a cup because if they don't win, they're going to need to start a rebuild because a lot of their players will be older and they would want some of their star players to have a chance at a cup and trade them. For instance, Ovechkin. So Washington needs to win this year. Like I said at the beginning, I totally agree. I guess I didn't say at the beginning that I agree, but it's one of the things I said. Washington, they are getting older. Ovechkin needs to win a Stanley Cup. That's why I predicted them to win the Stanley Cup this year. I know it wasn't a very smart prediction, but they just need to win, and I'm hoping that whatever faith I have in them somehow translates over the airwaves to the Washington team, and they actually do win this year, but probably not. Lewis says, I would say the Islanders need to win. With Tavares in jeopardy, he might get traded for all we know. The worst part is thinking about it during the season, which decreases the confidence of the team and mainly the GM and coach. They didn't clear it up in the offseason, and that was a big problem. Completely agreed. I spoke about this in my predictions for this year for the Islanders. I really felt like the Tavares situation could be looming over the franchise and really just cause a dark shadow. And it's going to be at the back of Tavares' mind. It's going to be back at the back of the coach's mind, the GM's mind, and the rest of the players on the team, because they're curious where their star player is going to go or if he's going to stay. So it is kind of a big problem. If they have success this year and if they win the cup, you know Tavares is staying long term. Matt McRedbeard says, personally, I think the Canadians need to win the cup, despite the fact that the city might just burn to the ground if they do. Personally, I think out of the teams in Canada that have a chance at winning the cup, agree or disagree, and I don't even dislike the Leafs or the Oilers despite being a Red Wings fan, I feel like the Oilers and Leafs took advantage of a broken draft system that favored teams who tank intentionally so they could pick up franchise players. Now that the system is different, when tanking intentionally won't do the trick, the Oilers and Leafs are apparent juggernauts for the rest of the league to beat. I like both teams, and I would be happy to see them bring a cup home. I just wouldn't like to see them win it that way. I wouldn't like to see a Canadian team take it home without an honest fight. Montreal has stayed true to the system that tries to put an interesting blood on the ice teams year after year. Whether they have a good or bad year, you know they fought hard for it. I like that in a team. That's an interesting perspective, Matt. I don't know if I want to be that guy personally to say that a team definitely tanked to get a franchise player. However, there have been years where teams have almost apparently kind of tanked. And you can't really say for sure if they did, like I said, but you kind of get that feeling. And there's even sayings going around for some of these players, like Nail Yakupov. There's fail for nail. So who knows? Hockey Puck says, I think that Columbus Blue Jackets need to win the Stanley Cup. Not only do they have $2.94 million in cap space, but they also have players that are old and are going to retire soon, like Dubinsky or Bobrovsky, or even Jack Johnson. I don't know if Columbus needs to win the Stanley Cup, but they need to beat Pittsburgh. If Columbus beat Pittsburgh in the first round or the second round and didn't end up winning the Stanley Cup, that would still be a huge victory for Columbus, being able to finally take down Pittsburgh. I think Columbus just needs to beat Pittsburgh. Nathaniel says, San Jose needs to win a cup for the Joes, Pavelski and Thornton. Pavelski has played for San Jose his whole life. He is currently 33. Joe Thornton, what can I say? The man is an assist machine. He is the modern-day Adam Oates. It would be a shame for him to go down as one of the greatest players to never win a Stanley Cup. Brent Burns is 32. He may have just won the Norris, but his play is going to decrease over time. Father Time will make sure of it. unless you're Jaromir Jagr and can say until you drop dead. Jones is a good goaltender, but not elite. I believe if San Jose has a plan to win the Cup anytime soon, it has to be this year. Nathaniel, well said. I completely agree. Joe Thornton is pretty much at the end of his career. Marleau shipped out, so he can't get the Cup there. But, you know, it's do or die for San Jose because there are guys on the team that are getting old. And I really thought they were going to do it a couple years ago against Pittsburgh, but unfortunately they didn't. And also, unfortunately, they haven't looked good this year so far. I think they're 1-3 maybe so far. So it's unfortunate, but I hope you're right. I hope San Jose is my second favorite team, so I hope you're right. Jake says, the New York Rangers have to win. Although it is unlikely the Rangers will actually win the Cup, this may be their last quality chance. Henrik Lundqvist is getting to the point where he can't keep playing at a superstar level. There's not enough talent up front to win without Lundqvist. Nash has very few, if any, good seasons left in him. The Rangers are creating a core of younger players built around Lundqvist. When Lundqvist is gone, the core will not be good enough to win. It is now or never for New York. There was a lot, during this series, there's so many comments, like I said before in different videos, or previous videos. I can't read all the comments, but there were a lot of people commenting the same thing. New York needs to win because of Lundqvist. He's an elite goalie, but he's kind of reaching the end of his career. I agree with this one. New York is a team that needs to win this year. Get Snooty says, I say the Dallas Stars. They snagged Bishop, have a great captain, and decent defense. It took a lot to snag Bishop, so I say this is the year that they need to push and win. I don't know if I necessarily agree that Dallas needs to win this year, but Dallas needs to make the playoffs. They made so many moves. New coach, Ken Hitchcock, Ben Bishop, Radulov, Mark Mathot, Hansel, I think. They made so many important moves in the offseason that if they don't get to the playoffs, it's going to be a huge failure. A bigger failure than last year. And even last year they were expected to make the playoffs. So if they don't make this year, that's a huge loss. So Dallas needs to make the playoffs this year. I don't know if they need to win the Cup this year. John says, Washington is the team that needs to win now. I believe that Ovi's issue is that he focuses too much on carrying the team and not leading the team. If they don't win now, I believe Backstrom is gone and a bunch others. This kind of has shades of what Justin says, where Backstrom should be captain and Ovechkin shouldn't. I'm actually in agreement with this. I believe Ovechkin is a better star elite scorer. He should just concentrate on scoring goals and providing offense for the team. I don't think he should have the extra weight of being a captain. He's a very emotional guy. You can see him riling up the guys on the bench, and he is a good leader, but sometimes he doesn't necessarily lead by example, if you understand what I mean. He's not a great defensive forward, so I believe Backstrom is the better all-around player. And when Backstrom speaks, the guys listen because he's more on the quiet side compared to Ovechkin. So when Backstrom speaks, you listen. It's kind of like Jason on this channel. He doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, you listen because he knows what he's talking about, and he's a good guy. Ryan says, San Jose, they have a lot of older players, and I think the time to be competitive is closing quickly. The time is now. Totally agree. We just spoke of that recently, Ryan. So a lot of consensus in the comments. San Jose is one of those teams that need to win. ATL Sports Chat says, Vancouver, desperately for the Sedin's sake. I agree. Vancouver actually does need to win. Is Vancouver going to win? No, they're not going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I'd probably bet my life on it. However, do they need to win? They kind of do, because he's right. The Sedins this is their last year, I believe, in their contract. Are they going to come back next year? Maybe. We don't know yet. But should they come back next year? Maybe. I don't know. If you're a Vancouver fan, for nostalgia's sake, you probably want them to come back. Logistically and if you're really trying to win, do you want them back? Probably not. So this really is the year that Vancouver needs to win for the Sedin's sake. Evan Weeks says, Pittsburgh, because Crosby and Malkin are getting older. What? Evan, Pittsburgh just won 2 cups in the past 2 years. You want them to win a third because Crosby and Malkin are getting older? They each have 3 cups. I think they're good. Evan, shame on you. Tyler says, the Rangers need to win. They can only ride the Lundqvist train for so long before he's out the door. Completely agree. Ariel says, honestly, the Blues need to win big this year because it's been 50 years now and zip. They have a young yet experienced team, and Jake Allen has had a wild run. They need to do it before Jake Allen's magic runs out and the younger guys leave because they can't win a damn cup on a cursed team. If not now, when? Ariel, well said. I don't know if Jake Allen's wild run will come to an end anytime soon. I think he's got some pretty good years ahead of him. However, I do agree definitely that the Blues need to win because it's been 50 years. Come on. At least make it to the finals like recently. When's the last time the Blues made it to the finals? I don't know. Probably the early 70s, maybe? I have no idea, but my point is, it hasn't been recently. So the Blues need to make it far in the playoffs. They also need to win the Stanley Cup. They have to prove themselves this year, and I hope they do it. Joel says, the Islanders need to win. They have the best chance at keeping John Tavares if they win. Totally agree. We just spoke about this earlier. John Tavares needs to have success with the Islanders this year in order to give him the confidence to stay with the team. And I believe he wants to stay with the team, but he also wants to win a Stanley Cup. And if he doesn't see himself winning the Stanley Cup, or the team in general winning the Stanley Cup on the island, then he's probably going to move elsewhere. Where will he go? Well, we could find out in a few months. Well, not a few months, but several months. All right, so that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for leaving your comments down below. Like I said before, there's just too many to read on camera. It would be a crazy long video, but I appreciate your feedback and your willingness to contribute to this series. We've had a lot of fun with it, a lot of interest, so we'll definitely keep the Hockey Fan Friday going for the, well, maybe the whole year. So I'm pretty excited about that. So thank you guys for contributing. We really appreciate that. And this week's question, which will be next week's answers, I guess it's next week's question too. Who's your favorite player and why? Short answer. And who's your least favorite player and why? Short answer. So name, short answer, name, short answer. Favorite player and least favorite player. And don't be mean and swear. I'm not going to read. If you swear in your comment, I'm probably not going to, well, I'm almost absolutely not going to take it and read it on camera because this is a channel with younger fans, so we try and keep it as, good as possible. So be as articulate as you can with your answers without swearing and keep them as short as possible. And the shorter the answers, the more I can read on camera. So if you guys could do that, that would be awesome. I'm really curious to see who your favorite players are and your least favorite players as well. Don't really like to spread a lot of negativity on this channel, but I am curious to see who your least favorite players are because even though some of us don't like to admit it, we definitely all have our least favorite players. Mine's probably Brad Marchand just because he's such a talented player. He's got so much potential there. If he actually just played hockey, well, when he plays hockey, you can see amazing things. But when he doesn't play hockey and he does those shenanigans like spearing people and just his regular antics, it's really frustrating. So that's my least favorite player. My favorite player is, well, Saku Koivu of all time. My current favorite player is Jake Allen. I should clarify this question. Your favorite current NHL player and your least favorite current NHL player. So that's a clarification on the question. Sorry about that. So I guess that wraps this one up. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you guys contributing to this series. I know a lot of you look forward to it, and I do as well. So thank you very much. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you in the next Hockey Fan Friday. Adios.